Hi everyone. Welcome to my channel, Turkish Series Stars. All the behind-the-scenes details are in this video. If you enjoy these deep dives, please like, subscribe, and consider joining our community by clicking the membership button below. Thank you so much. Now let's get into it. Just before dawn, the Turkish entertainment scene jolted awake. Timelines flashed, headlines stacked on top of each other, and one name took over every feed with a question no one expected to read over morning coffee. Had a new romance erupted on the set of Çarpıntı involving Gökberk Yıldırım? A cluster of leaked set photos ignited the frenzy, images catching him and his co-star, Yıldırım, in what looked like an intimate embrace between takes. Cropped, decontextualized, and passed around at lightning speed, they threw gasoline on the rumor mill. Is this a betrayal? Trouble with Semra Arda echoed across comments like an alarm bell that wouldn't stop ringing. At first glance it seemed like a familiar cycle: viral images, breathless speculation, and the usual guessing games about private lives under public lights. But as the hours ticked by, something else emerged from the noise, like a message written between the lines. This wasn't a random leak at all. According to those close to the project, a calculated promotional idea had been swirling in the background, a risky ploy to stir interest in Çarpıntı by teasing a spark between Gökberk and Yıldırım, hoping to flood social platforms and, by extension, boost the show's spotlight. The plan, as one insider described it, was dangerously simple: let suggestive moments circulate just enough to start a conversation, then ride the wave. But the tide came in too soon and too hard. The photos slipped out early, detaching from any context or explanation, tumbling into the wild where narrative control evaporates. What followed was a storm even its architects couldn't predict. A tidal surge of takes, reactions, and instant verdicts that swept everyone, willing or not, into its current. Gökberk, typically known for calm professionalism and an almost understated ease in interviews, didn't hide. He did the opposite. Without warning, he called a press gathering and stepped into the camera's glare, steady and measured. "I am in a committed relationship," he began, his voice even but firm, "and my boundaries are not negotiable. Yıldırım is a colleague I respect, an exceptionally dedicated actress. Turning our work into tabloid bait is unfair to all of us, and it misleads the people who follow our projects with genuine interest." In a heartbeat, the narrative shifted. The supposed scandal became something else, a statement about respect, about drawing lines in a business that often rewards transgression. While every word was dissected online, Semra Arda chose composure over spectacle. She stayed quiet in public, the way only someone secure can. Privately, sources close to her said she expressed full confidence in what she and Gökberk share. "I don't question his respect for me," she reportedly told friends, "and I don't have to prove our relationship to anyone." That quiet certainty resonated deeply. If the aim of the provocation had been to splinter them, it did the opposite. The tide of comments started to change course. Support poured in, messages celebrating a couple who safeguarded their bond without theatrics. One tagline rose above the rest, a digital rallying cry within hours: #Gökberkright. Even amid the buzz, there was one voice that hadn't been heard yet: Yıldırım. When she finally posted, it wasn't a tease or a coy nod at the rumors. It was pointed and disappointed. "Gökberk and I are co-workers," she wrote, "and the scenes you saw were pulled from the context of our work. It hurts to see my professionalism questioned based on images that don't reflect the reality of what we do." Behind the scenes, it didn't end there. Whispers indicated that Yıldırım had cut ties with her agent, with industry chatter alleging that the ill-conceived push had originated in those very offices. "My career will be grounded in my performances, not in rumor," she is said to have told her circle, a boundary as clear as it was admirable. Those who know Gökberk say the moment he grasped the scope of the manipulation, something in him snapped. During a tense meeting with campaign handlers, he brought his hand down on the table hard enough to silence the room. "No one will turn my private life into a billboard," he declared. For a man who rarely raises his voice, the outburst carried the weight of finality. Word is, it was enough to halt any further creative marketing from the source. The production company followed fast with an official statement: no romance existed between the actors, and everything unfolding on set had remained strictly professional. The aim was firebreak, a sudden line to stop the blaze from tearing through the entire house. It worked, mostly. The visible flames died down. But inside, where trust lives, the scorch marks remained. Cast members exchanged guarded looks. Crew conversations grew clipped. The easy spring of camaraderie became cautious steps on frosted ground. And yet, even as the noise burned hot, the bond between Gökberk and Semra didn't fray. After the press conference, they vanished from view for a breath and a beat, no updates, no check-ins, no performative posts. Friends say they fled the city's echo, choosing a quiet hideaway beyond the smog and slogans. A couple of long lenses found them anyway, capturing fleeting frames of the two in the late light, relaxed and leaning into each other. No headlines could compete with the warmth in those photos. For once, the image said something simple and true, that underneath everything, they were fine. The fallout triggered a wider conversation across the industry. Where does promotion end and manipulation begin? What happens when tactics meant to sell stories end up compromising the people who make them? Voices on talk shows, in columns, even in private group chats agreed on a rare point: lines had been crossed. More surprisingly, many of the loudest kudos went to Gökberk, not just for defending his relationship, but for pushing back publicly against the parts of show business that feed on confusion. In a field where volume often wins, measured conviction felt refreshing. There was another twist: Çarpıntı didn't stumble. If anything, interest swelled, not from prurient curiosity, but out of respect for the people involved. Viewers tuned in not to hunt for proof of rumors, but to watch skilled performers threading delicate scenes with craft and care. The much-dreaded fake chemistry plague joined a mental list of disasters that planners would prefer to pretend never happened. If someone hoped to bend a narrative into a quick win, they had underestimated how quickly audiences tire of being manipulated. People close to the couple say that when they finally returned to the city, they did so on their own timing. No staged entrances. No coordinated street snaps. Just two people strolling back into their lives. When asked about lessons learned, Gökberk's response, shared in a quiet, unhurried interview, echoed across the web: love isn't a spectacle. It's what we feel and protect when the cameras are off. It's spread for a reason. In a world that prizes proof and performance, privacy can feel like an act of rebellion. Semra, for her part, made only one post tied to the episode: a picture with no words, a grainy sunset glow spilling over a shoreline. The caption was a single heart. No hashtags, no pointers, no explanations. And yet everyone understood. You don't have to annotate a feeling that real. In the days that followed, a few producers started rethinking their promotional blueprints, or so the whispers claim. A handful of agents held pointed discussions about boundaries. More than one reporter admitted off the record that they'd rushed to publish the juiciest angle before bothering to confirm context. Change doesn't come fast in an industry addicted to clicks, but this felt like a start. What lingers is a sense that something meaningful cracked open. Not a scandal, not a revelation, just a rare reminder that you can step outside the carnival and still matter. That two people can stand their ground without shouting. And that a team, jolted into awkward stillness, can find its way back to trust once the dust finally settles. The show goes on. Çarpıntı airs each week, new scenes unfolding under the same lights as before, but with a little more care from everyone, on screen and off. If you look closely, you can sense it: the cast moving with gentler rapport, the crew easing back into their rhythm, the set recovering its heartbeat. Whatever was broken isn't irreparable, it just needs time and respect to mend. As for the online chorus, it has quieted into something softer. Fans cheer for performances again. They argue about plot twists instead of private lives. And when those old photos resurface here and there, people scroll past with a kind of knowing that wasn't there before. We've seen the trick. We don't need to fall for it again. Maybe the real story is how quickly people can tell the difference between a moment crafted to sell and a moment that simply is. Maybe it's how a couple, backed into a corner by 1,000 eyes, chose not to fight fire with fire. Or maybe it's as simple as the sentence that keeps reverberating: love doesn't need to be proven in front of anyone. What do you think? Did Gökberk do the right thing by addressing the noise head-on, or should artists let rumors burn themselves out? Drop your thoughts below, we really want to hear from you. Don't forget to subscribe to Turkish series stars, turn on notifications so you never miss our next deep dive, and if you want to support our work even more, hit the join button to become part of our inner circle. Your support helps us bring you the most revealing, human stories in Turkish entertainment. Here at Turkish series stars, we don't chase the loudest echo, we trace the truth behind the shimmer. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one.